Blake Lively will be sued. And, and we're carefully considering other people that will be sued also. And some of
Ryan
them come
Reynolds?
as a surprise. Ryan Reynolds, for sure.
Oh, wow. He was involved in this to some extent. There was a meeting at their apartment at which
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds just got wiped out by Hollywood in the most humiliating way imaginable. Once hailed as the industry's golden couple, they're now being exposed as master manipulators who played the entire world for fools. And if even their closest A-list friends are distancing themselves, you know their reign is officially done. For years, these two had everyone convinced they were Hollywood's perfect pair. Blake carefully crafted the ultimate, "I'm just a regular girl who bakes and loves family life" image on Instagram, while Ryan kept people entertained with his walking meme factory persona. They were untouchable, or so they thought. But the truth always finds a way out. Beneath the layers of PR perfection, these two were hiding something much darker. Turns out, they weren't the wholesome, self-aware couple they sold to the world. They were just another problematic Hollywood duo who got way too comfortable playing the game. And their biggest mistake? Thinking they could get away with it. Now, the industry that once worshipped them is watching as their empire crumbles. And the memes? Oh, the memes! The internet has ripped apart every last shred of their carefully crafted personas.
So a little while back, Ryan Reynolds, the guy from Deadpool, was signing some autographs, right? Cool. Psych, not cool. Cause see, Ryan Reynolds had a problem. People were quick to point out that this whole thing seemed staged, that maybe Ryan's team called professional autograph grifters, people who sell autographs, and said, "Hey yo, Ryan finna be in this spot. You better show up." And then Ryan looked like Mr. Big Money, Mr. Please, no pictures. But the question remains, why would Ryan have to do this? Well, you see, Ryan had a bigger problem.
Blake's holier-than-thou feminist act? Gone. Ryan's self-aware, lovable comedian routine? Obliterated. Every cringeworthy SNL appearance, every tone-deaf interview, every hypocritical statement they've made over the years, it's all coming back to haunt them in ways they never saw coming. Hollywood has officially turned its back on them. Studios want nothing to do with them. Brands are scrambling to cut ties. Even their fellow actors, the ones who once gushed over their perfect relationship, are too embarrassed to be associated with them. And worst of all, their own fans have completely abandoned them. But here's the real nightmare. Once the internet decides you're done, there's no coming back. Every clip, every tweet, every shady move they've made is now fuel for the world's most brutal takedown. And if you think that's bad, let's talk about the chaotic mess that is It Ends With Us. This movie was supposed to be huge. Dropping in August 2024, it pulled in a jaw-dropping $351 million worldwide on a $25 million budget. A massive success, right? Wrong. Instead of being remembered as a box office hit, it's now one of the messiest Hollywood legal disasters ever. And who's at the center of it all? Blake Lively. Her desperate attempts to play the victim, all while trying to control the narrative, have completely backfired. And now she's finding out the hard way that Hollywood doesn't forgive or forget. Blake, the reigning queen of performative victimhood, pulled out every sob story in the book. She accused director Justin Baldoni of harassment, claiming he created a toxic, hostile work environment. According to her, she endured unwanted advances, inappropriate comments, and pure misery on set. But isn't it interesting how these explosive accusations only surfaced after she realized she didn't have as much control over the film as she thought? The timing? Way too convenient. Suddenly, she's the tragic heroine, suffering through the worst on-set experience of all time, but only when her power started slipping. And just when did she take action? Oh, right. December 2024, perfectly timed before the holiday season. She ran straight to the California Civil Rights Department to file a complaint, ensuring that the media frenzy would be at its peak. You can't make this stuff up. But Justin Baldoni? He wasn't about to roll over and let his name get dragged. Nope. He fired back hard, slapping Blake, Ryan, and their entire PR machine with a jaw-dropping $400 million lawsuit. His claims: defamation, extortion, and an outright attempt to hijack his movie. This wasn't just a scandal, this was war. Imagine being so desperate for power that you end up in a multi-million-dollar legal nightmare just because someone refused to let you take over. And if you think they played it smart from here, think again, because these two brilliant masterminds thought it would be hilarious to mock the entire situation on live television. Fast forward to February 2025 and enter Saturday Night Live's 50th anniversary, where Ryan Reynolds delivered the most spectacular read-the-room failure of all time. In front of millions, Ryan thought it would be a brilliant idea to crack a joke about their ongoing legal disaster. And, shockingly, it backfired spectacularly.
And his problem stems from what happened between his wife, Blake Lively, and a guy named Justin Baldoni. Okay, now to understand this, we're gonna go back to before Ryan was involved. Also, heads up, the story might seem like a bunch of celebrity drama, but it's actually deeper than it seems. Blake Lively, famous actress, also married to Ryan Reynolds. She gets a call, ring, ring. They said, "Hey girl, you trying to star in a movie called It Ends With Us?" She said, "For sure." They said, "Cool, you're gonna be starring with some dude named Justin Baldoni." This next part's important. They say, Justin Baldoni is also the director of the movie. He calls all the shots. Blake said, yes, come on, let's do it. Bet. So they shoot the movie. They finish the movie. After you finish the movie, you have to do something called a press tour. That means going around telling everybody, hey, everybody, the movie's coming out. At the same time, people were talking about how Blake and Justin were having problems on set and, things weren't good. But people were like, okay, this is all rumors to promote the movie. So Blake going around doing interviews, promoting the movie and all that. She promoted her products a little here and there, and she talking about go see the movie, it's super great, and she's super excited. But the problem is, It Ends With Us, the movie she was doing, was about domestic violence.
Ryan, buddy, when your wife is drowning in lawsuits, accusations, and a media storm, maybe, just maybe, don't turn it into a punchline on national television. And, of course, Hollywood wasted zero time dragging them through the mud. The Hollywood Reporter went in on their downfall, publishing a brutal cover story that laid it all out. But Blake? Oh, she wasn't having it. In true delusional drama queen fashion, she immediately called it sexist and demeaning. Oh, sure, Blake. It's always sexism when the media calls you out. But when you and your PR team spent months manipulating every press outlet to make Baldoni look like the villain, that was totally fine, right? And then came social media. Oh boy, the internet ate them alive. Fans, critics, everyone swarmed Twitter, Reddit, and Instagram, roasting them for their performative nonsense. This wasn't just backlash. It was a full-blown takedown. Hashtags like #cancel Lively Reynolds started trending, and let's just say, people were completely over their woe is me act. Hollywood insiders have plenty to say about this disaster, and let's just say, it's not looking good for Blake and Ryan. The same industry figures who once treated them like untouchable royalty, they're now actively distancing themselves. Some are even whispering that the absolute mess they've made of this situation could permanently damage their careers. And let's be real, this is Hollywood, a place where careers get blacklisted faster than you can say bad PR move. But here's the real kicker, the hypocrisy. Ryan Reynolds, the man who built his entire career on being the relatable, funny, self-aware guy, well, suddenly, he's not so funny when the joke's on him. And Blake, the flawless, graceful, untouchable Hollywood darling? Yeah, she's officially been exposed as the calculated, manipulative mess she's been hiding all along. Turns out, Hollywood's so-called sweethearts were really just Hollywood's biggest frauds. And now, their entire professional lives are in freefall. Several of their biggest upcoming projects have been shelved. Studios are running for the hills, and their once lucrative endorsement deals, vanishing faster than Blake's credibility. Big brands hate controversy, and these two, they've officially become radioactive. Even their most loyal fan base is disappearing. For the first time in their careers, Their charm, their PR games, their carefully curated personas, none of it is enough to save them. And speaking of Ryan, let's talk about him for a second. This man branded himself as the cool, self-aware guy. You know, the one who totally doesn't take Hollywood too seriously. But here's the truth. He desperately craved Hollywood's validation. And now, when multiple directors and former co-stars refuse to work with you, that's when you know you're the problem. Let's not forget, Tim Miller, the original director of Deadpool, didn't just leave the franchise. He ran from it. Why? Because working with Ryan Reynolds was an absolute nightmare. And if that wasn't bad enough, his Deadpool co-star TJ Miller made it crystal clear he would never work with Ryan again. Not even for double the paycheck. Imagine being so unbearable that even the people who helped catapult you to box office royalty want nothing to do with you. That's not just bad, that's career suicide. And then there's Blake. The Golden Girl image she spent years building is falling apart right in front of our eyes. This is the same woman who made damn sure the world saw her as the perfect Hollywood wife, the ideal mother, the classy, graceful, untouchable star. But now, she's been exposed as someone who throws tantrums the second things don't go her way. Her entire public narrative has been about being a strong, independent actress, someone who fights for what's right. But the second things get messy, she's suddenly the most oppressed woman in Hollywood. Make it make sense. Here's the bottom line. Blake and Ryan genuinely thought they were invincible. They believed their carefully curated personas and PR tactics would protect them forever. They banked on their charm and likability to carry them through scandal after scandal. But the truth? People are done buying their act. The legal battle, the media circus, the embarrassingly failed attempts at damage control, everything is piling up. And at this point, there's no coming back from this level of disaster.
And people were like, yo, man, your tone is a little too jubileal and happy for a domestic violence film. Blake Lively said, what them peasants say? People said you were doing too much of this while talking about domestic violence. Blake Lively said, okay, so I'm suing Justin Baldoni. People said, what? She said, yeah, y'all saying my tone was too happy and all that in the interviews. I know Justin Baldoni put y'all up to that. And plus, he harassed me. Everyone said, now as soon as she says this, the New York Times comes out with an investigative report saying, yo, Blake Lively probably telling the truth. Justin Baldoni ain't it. It all comes down on Justin Baldoni. People are cussing him out. He's losing awards. He's losing work. He gets dropped by his talent agency. But here's where things start to get wicked. Justin Baldoni don't take this lying down. Justin Baldoni decides to pull an Uno reverse card. He says, but it is I who is suing you. He sues Blake Lively, the New York Times, and Ryan Reynolds. I need you to listen closely.
Blake and Ryan built their entire careers on being Hollywood's most beloved couple. Blake, the Pinterest-perfect mom, always baking cookies and rocking that vintage housewife aesthetic. Ryan, the wisecracking, self-aware husband, cracking jokes like it's his full-time job. But here's the problem. When Hollywood turns on you, no amount of sarcasm can save you. And now, the industry has officially had enough of them, and the consequences? Absolutely brutal. First up, their careers are falling apart faster than a flopped superhero sequel. Studios are actively running from them. No one wants anything with their names attached. Several of their major upcoming projects either canceled outright or put on indefinite hold. It's like every big studio collectively had an aha moment. Wait, why are we still giving these two work? Take Blake, for example. She was set to star in a high-profile HBO drama series. But guess what? Not happening anymore. The studio doesn't want her anywhere near it. And why? Because, shocker, nobody wants the walking lawsuit that is Blake Lively tanking their production. And Ryan? Well, his Deadpool legacy might be on the chopping block. And let's be real. If Marvel, a studio notorious for milking every last drop out of a franchise, is rethinking his future, that says everything. And here's where it gets really bad. Disney, the literal kings of "we don't care about bad press as long as it makes money," are hesitating. when Disney starts pulling back, you know you've royally messed up. Let's not overlook the mass exodus of endorsement deals, because they're disappearing even faster than Blake and Ryan's credibility. Brands want nothing to do with scandal, period. Blake's luxury lifestyle partnerships? Gone. Her high-end fashion collaborations? Canceled with a capital C? Even the wholesome, mom-friendly sponsorships that were once a given? They're dropping her like hot coal. And Ryan? Oh, he's not faring any better. His aviation gin campaign, the one he practically built his marketing reputation on, is quietly fading into oblivion. Turns out, all the quirky viral marketing in the world won't save you when nobody wants to market you. Because let's be real, companies don't exactly want to be associated with the guy whose biggest headline right now is mocking his wife's sexual harassment lawsuit on live television. And speaking of being shunned, Hollywood itself is actively turning against them. The same A-listers who once pretended to be their friends because it was the socially acceptable thing to do are now openly voicing their disapproval. Insiders say that many big names have completely distanced themselves from the couple. At this point, being seen with Blake and Ryan is basically social suicide. Their presence is so radioactive that some of the biggest Hollywood names have unfollowed them on Instagram. And in celebrity language, that's a very loud, "We don't know you anymore." And it gets worse. Even their own talent agencies are reportedly reconsidering their contracts. Imagine, your PR disaster is so catastrophic that the people who literally profit from your success are ready to cut you loose. That's when you know you're done. Agents are now actively advising studios to stay away from them. And it's not just about bad press anymore. It's about avoiding lawsuits, lost money, and the sheer embarrassment of being associated with the biggest career meltdown in Hollywood right now. And oh boy, the financial nightmare just keeps getting worse. The high-stakes trial between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni is locked in for March 2026. And if you think this case is just going to blow over, think again. This lawsuit is massive. This isn't just another petty celebrity feud. This is career-ending territory. Baldoni is coming for everything. And he's not stopping at Lively. Nope, he's dragging Ryan Reynolds and their entire PR machine into the fire. And here's where it gets brutal. Their legal fees alone are astronomical. Lawyers at this level, they do not work for free, especially when dealing with a case of this scale. Court filings show that both sides are burning through insane amounts of cash on legal fees. And at this rate, Lively and Reynolds are bleeding money faster than they can keep up. Sure, they're rich, but they aren't Oprah rich. If this trial drags on, it's going to hit their bank accounts hard. And behind closed doors, sources say they might try to settle out of court, but that's not a guarantee. Baldoni has every reason to take this to trial. His case is solid, and he has the entire industry backing him. Meanwhile, Blake and Ryan are scrambling to spin this mess into yet another sob story. But here's the thing. No one is buying it anymore. And speaking of people not buying their nonsense, let's talk about their public image.
Justin Baldoni basically said everything started because Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds were trying to take control of the movie from him. Remember, he's the director. He also owns the rights to the movie. So by Blake suing Justin, his career gets ruined. Blake and Ryan get the rights so they can shoot a sequel to the movie. They get full control, no problem. And the New York Times basically teamed up with Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds to ruin Justin's reputation. Now, I know actors suing each other for their reputation may seem stupid, and it kind of is, but you gotta understand, to celebrities of this caliber especially, their reputation really is everything. They got products outside of this.
Because at this point, it's shattered beyond repair. These two built their entire brand on being likable, relatable, and down to earth. But guess what? The fans who once worshipped them, they've turned on them completely. Their social media engagement has tanked. Blake Lively, once the queen of carefully staged Instagram posts, has seen a dramatic drop in followers. People are unfollowing her in droves. And why? Because, shocker, they don't want to support someone who weaponizes false accusations for personal gain. And Ryan? He's not faring any better. The man who built his career on being the funny, charming, self-aware guy? Yeah, turns out people aren't laughing anymore. Ryan's once loyal fans are finally seeing through the act. That funny, lovable guy persona? Yeah, turns out it was nothing more than a mask, hiding someone insecure, controlling, and downright insufferable. And let's talk about the absolute carnage on social media, because it's brutal. Hashtags like #CancelLively Reynolds have completely taken over Twitter and Reddit, and the roasting has been merciless. Every single move they make, picked apart, mocked, and instantly turned into a meme. If they try to defend themselves, boom, another viral meme. If they pretend nothing's happening, boom, another roast session. They cannot escape the internet's wrath. And, oh, they tried damage control. They released defensive PR statements trying to clarify things. But shockingly, those attempts backfired spectacularly. Every word came off as desperate, forced, and insincere. And honestly, why wouldn't they? When you've spent years pretending to be Hollywood's most down-to-earth couple, only to get exposed as manipulative opportunists, no one is going to believe a word you say. Now, let's really put their spectacular downfall into perspective. Remember Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard? That legal bloodbath had the entire world watching. But in the end, the evidence exposed Heard's manipulative antics, and the public sided with Depp. Blake tried to pull the same move, launching a full-blown smear campaign against Justin Baldoni. But here's where she messed up. She forgot one crucial detail. She has zero credibility. Baldoni isn't some Hollywood creep with skeletons in his closet. He saw exactly what was happening, flipped the script, hit her with a $400 million lawsuit, and shut it all down. And the result? Blake obliterated any chance she had at a dignified comeback. And then there's Ellen DeGeneres, yet another star whose sweet, wholesome public image completely imploded under the weight of her own toxic behavior. Sound familiar? For years, Hollywood insiders protected Ellen, just like they did with Blake and Ryan. But once the stories piled up, boom, she was kicked to the curb. No more talk shows, no more industry respect, just a never-ending supply of memes about how awful she was behind the scenes. And let's not forget Will Smith's infamous Oscar slap. One impulsive move, and his career was instantly derailed. If one slap was enough to get Smith blacklisted from the Academy, what do Blake and Ryan think is going to happen when their own peers are actively turning against them? Because let's be real, their constant PR disasters, tone-deaf mockery of serious legal battles, and shameless victim-playing are so much worse than one impulsive moment at the Oscars. And here's the biggest difference between these scandals and the Reynolds Lively downfall. At least the others had some people on their side. Johnny Depp? He had a massive fan base backing him. Ellen? She still had talk show money to fall back on. Even Will Smith had some industry defenders willing to give him a second chance. But Blake and Ryan? Nobody is rushing in to save them. Everyone is just watching them burn, and no one is throwing water. And now, let's talk about their disastrous crisis management. Because if there was an award for the worst PR handling of a scandal, these two would sweep the category for the next decade. Let's start with the SNL joke. Absolute career suicide. Instead of lying low, Ryan thought it would be a brilliant idea to mock the lawsuit on live television. A bold move, considering that the lawsuit is still very much ongoing. The optics? Horrific! The backlash? Immediate. It was so bad that even celebrities who can't stand Justin Baldoni wanted nothing to do with Blake and Ryan. At this point, their entire downfall is like a slow-motion train wreck, and everyone is just watching it happen. Now, let's really put things into perspective. Look at how Robert Downey Jr. handled his scandals. The man went to prison. He hit rock bottom, but you know what he didn't do? Dig himself deeper. Instead, he owned his mistakes, put in the work, and earned his redemption. He didn't just apologize, he came back stronger and became Iron Man. Now, compare that to Blake and Ryan. What did they do? Instead of taking accountability, they doubled down.
If you don't like them, then you don't buy their product. Outside of this, they lose out on millions. They also lose out on acting roles. Their careers are basically ruined. So they're suing each other for millions. Blake suing Justin, Justin suing Blake and Ryan. So people said, okay, this is a he said, she said thing. We don't know who to believe. But like I told you earlier, this story is deeper than it seems. Justin comes out and says, how about this? How about I prove I'm right? And they're all lying. And here's where things started to get wickeder. He comes out with receipts. In fact, he had so many receipts, he made a website of all of his receipts. He said, yo, go ahead and go check that out.
They mocked their own legal disaster on live TV. And when the industry inevitably turned on them, they acted shocked. And let's not forget how the media played into this spectacle. The same outlets that once worshipped Blake and Ryan, they flipped the script instantly when they saw the public turning against them. Tabloids aren't running puff pieces anymore. Nope, they're feasting on the downfall like it's an all-you-can-eat scandal buffet. It's actually impressive how fast their reputations collapsed the moment the media decided they were no longer useful. At this point, Blake and Ryan need divine intervention to save their careers. But let's humor them with some actual ways they could attempt to come back. First up, the classic Hollywood move, the forced public apology. The only way they even have a 1% chance of salvaging their careers? Groveling in front of cameras, putting on an Oscar-worthy performance about how deeply sorry they are, and admitting they handled everything horribly. But here's the problem. Nobody will believe them. Their fake relatability act has been completely exposed. The world knows they don't care about actual accountability. They care about one thing: damage control. Next up, the philanthropy stunt. Because let's be real, when celebrities are desperate, what do? They slap their names on a random charity and hope people forget why they were canceled in the first place. So don't be surprised if Blake suddenly reinvents herself as a women's rights advocate. And, of course, expect Ryan to magically become the face of some mental health organization. Because what better way to manipulate public sympathy than by throwing a boatload of cash at a cause? But here's the thing. The internet isn't stupid. People see right through these empty, last-ditch PR stunts faster than Ryan's career is crashing and burning. Then there's the media silence strategy. If they were smart, they'd disappear for at least 2 years, let people forget the absolute disaster they created, and then attempt a quiet comeback. But let's be real. Knowing these two attention-starved clowns, that's never going to happen. They won't be able to resist the spotlight. They'll keep running their mouths, making things worse, and ensuring that Hollywood keeps them blacklisted for as long as possible. And honestly, the only real way they could ever recover is if they had undeniable next-level talent. If they somehow delivered performances so mind-blowing that people had no choice but to acknowledge them, maybe, just maybe, they'd stand a chance. But here's the cold, hard truth. Neither of them is good enough to pull that off. Ryan, he's been playing the same sarcastic character for 15 years. There's zero range, zero depth. The guy is literally a one-note actor. And Blake? She peaked in Gossip Girl. Let's not kid ourselves. That's not the kind of acting talent that's going to make Hollywood forget they destroyed their own careers. So, let's summarize. Blake and Ryan's fall from grace was 100% self-inflicted. They chose to play dirty, they chose to mock serious issues, and they chose to believe they were above consequences. And now, they're getting exactly what they deserve. Their downfall started with a disastrous PR stunt, spiraled into Hollywood completely disowning them. And now, they're trapped in a $400 million legal disaster with zero allies left. Their careers? Dead. Their endorsement deals? Gone. And the same media they once manipulated? It has turned against them with a vengeance. And the worst part? Nobody is coming to save them. Even their former celebrity friends, the ones who used to sing their praises, have completely ghosted them. They've gone from Hollywood's golden couple to the industry's biggest embarrassment. And this entire disaster proves one thing: fame is fragile. It doesn't matter how many quirky Instagram posts you share, how many self-aware tweets you post, or how many scripted late-night show appearances you make. None of it can protect you when the world finally sees through your act. Blake and Ryan spent years carefully crafting their perfect public image. But in just a few months, it all came crashing down. Because at the end of the day, Hollywood doesn't cancel people for no reason. It cancels liars, manipulators, and frauds. And Blake and Ryan check every single box. They aren't victims. They aren't misunderstood. They're two people who played the system for years. And now, they've finally been caught. And just like that, they're Hollywood history. Because if there's one thing Hollywood loves more than making stars, it's watching them fall. And right now, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are giving everyone front row seats to their own downfall. And let's be real, it's been a long time coming. Want to stay updated on more Hollywood scandals? Smash that subscribe button, hit like, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, share this video if you enjoyed it. See you in the next one.